Hello developers, welcome to GreatStack, and today I am back with my all new video on React.js. This time we will be creating a fully functional ChatGPT clone where you won't be requiring sign in all the time like the real ChatGPT. However, this is just because we are using the API though. But still, I hope you will be learning a lot of new things and have fun learning. Before starting, make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon for more such amazing videos if you haven't done yet. So now with all new energy, let's get started. But before that, just let me demonstrate this website. Like write hello, how are you? And see, it has responded, I am doing well, thank you, how about you? Also with some basic questions like, what is the square of 21? The square of 21 is 441. Or something like, write an article on democracy. Here it comes. Everything that a real ChatGPT does. So the clone is working just fine and it's time to rush into the coding part. So let's get started. So since you are here and following us for this ChatGPT, I expect you to have a very basic knowledge of functional React, that is the latest React, and very basic knowledge about that React hooks. You don't need to be an expert on that, but if you don't know, so you can just go to the React dev and search what are React hooks. However, we'll be not using so much of these, but I suggest you to go to this website if you don't know and just search for these things, like read more about use effect, use ref and use state. Just these three things we are using. However, I will be explaining you what are these and why are we using these things, but just to get a deep insight about these things, you can go to the website and search for these. So coming back to the coding part, just go to your terminal and write npx create react app. And what will be the name of our website will be just clone. Just wait for the setup to complete. Now the setup is complete and you can see here are some suggestions, like you need to go to the folder which will be created, that is the clone. This is the main React app, and once cd clone, once you get into this folder, just type npm start. Again, this will take some time, a very little bit of time. So now the React app is started. So we need to start removing the extra stuffs which are here. Like in the source folder, we can just remove this app.test.js, the index.css, and this logo, this and these two things. So just delete them and go to the public folder and find these things. You can just remove this favicon.ico, these two things, manifesto and robot text. So just removing these two things. But as you can see, just deleting these things will get you errors. So we need to make some more changes. First we can remove this, and in app.js you can clear this whole thing, the whole header. And this logo.svg which clears one of the error, and then we need to go to index.js, where we can remove this index.css or everything that is not necessary or deleted, like these things. Then we need to go to our index.html in this public folder, and we can just remove these things, like from here to here. Or this comment part. Also changing the React app name to ChatGPT. So with this, our web page is compiled successfully. You can check if there is something missing, like if you are clearing these things like I did. So just make sure that you don't clear anything which is of use. So everything is working fine, and now we can start. So the first thing that we can see is we have this, the whole cleared page, and the UI for our web page that I showed you was this, in which if we observe what we have is this main body which contains the chat thing, and this sidebar which contains an upper part and a lower part. However, this part is not functional in our website as we don't need it, but everything else is functional. And so the very first thing that we observed is the whole web page is divided into two parts, that is the sidebar, the side thing, this thing here, and the main body. And this side thing has two parts, the upper part, the upper side, and the lower side. Also, the division between these two divs are not equal. Just we'll check that what is the division using the flexbox properties. So let's try this. The very first thing that we observed is that it has a division, that is the sidebar. We can call it the sidebar. And we have a main division, that is the main division. Also, the sidebar which we created has two things, that is the upper side. We can call it just the upper side top, or just the upper side, and we have a lower side, that is dot lower side. So the side division was divided into two parts, that is the upper side, which is this thing, and the lower side, which was this thing. And coming to the upper part, we have this upper side top, that is the image. Then we have a button that is used for the new chat, and then we have this queries that we can call. So the upper side top, the mid button, and this we can call upper side bottom, which contains two queries. So in the upper side, we have a upper side top, which contains the image. So this contains the image, which we can name just the logo. We can name it like logo. So we have this image that contains the logo. And if we see, we have this text, ChatGPT. So we can just give it a span. Here. Just after the image, we can give it a span, SPAN, and we can name it something like brand. So, which contains this text, ChatGPT. And then we simply have a button. So, what we can name this button is mid button, mid BTN. Yes, this will be fine. And this just contains the text and a simple plus symbol which says new chat. So we'll be having an image, and we can name it the add button, and just after this add button, we can just write new chat. And for the last part, we have this upper side, we can call it bottom, the upper side's bottom thing, this query thing, or you can name it queries, but like I will prefer this name though. So in this we have those two queries which we can design, like this can be a button which says this. So we can just add a button and we can call it query, which basically contains an image and a text. So the exact same thing, that we have an image which we can call, like we can decide the name later, and just we can write the text like what is programming, the first question. And let's just copy this text and move to the styling part, because if we save this and see how our page looks like, it looks pretty ugly, like we don't have anything in this page. But before everything, we have used these images but have not provided any source to it. So for that, I'll be providing you a folder which contains all the assets that we need, so we can just add it here. Like you need to add it in your source file, which you can paste right in your source folder here, like I did. And as I said, this will contain all the things that you will be needing. So what you need to do is just import these things. So what we need to import? So let's find, the very first thing was this, the upper side top image. So what was it? It was the ChatGPT logo. So we can call it the GPT logo, and we need to import it from assets, and then where is the GPT svg? Yes, this is it, I think. And once this thing is imported, you can just use it here using this curly braces and GPT logo. So let's see. Actually, the background for our logo is white, so it is not visible, but it is here. But it will be better if, like before starting everything, we could make the basic overlay of this whole page. But for that, the basic styling, the very basic styling is important. So just for the basic styling, what we can do is we can set the margin to 0, the padding to 0, the padding to 0, and the box sizing to border box for every element. And for the HTML, the whole HTML, we can just set the font size to 62.5%. This is important as I will be using rems in describing the size of anything. So if you are using rems, and if you know about rems, so one rem is equal to 16 pixels. So if we open the calculator and check or calculate that one rem is equal to 16 pixels, so I want to do 1 rem is equal to 10 pixels. So for the whole sizing thing, I can just divide 10 by 16, and what I will get, just I need to multiply with 100, so I will get this. 10 pixels is 62.5% of 16 pixels. So that's why I used it here, font size equal to 62.5. And then we can move to more of the stuffs like the body, in which we can change the background to RGB. What was this background? I can just show you the code, which is RGB3031. And as it is a dark background, so we need a light font. Just you can see in this page, we have white font. So for everything, the body has this RGB blue and the color for everything will be white. Also, if you have observed that this is not the normal font, this is Poppins font. So for that, you need to go to your browser and find Google Fonts, and the first link you will get is this fonts.google.com, and here you need to search Poppins. So Poppins, just search for this, swipe down and search for your desired font. So I'll be using this light 300 and a regular 400 will be fine. So once you have selected, click here, and here are the list of styles that you needed, and here is the link. So just copy it and go to your web page, find this index.html in your public folder, and right here or above it, it does not matters, so paste this. And now this is your font family. So for that, save it, go to your app.css and write font family and paste these Poppins. So if this Poppins does not load, so just I will use the sans serif. And for now, you can see that yes, there is the logo which was white, and we have the font which is not the regular font. And for this whole thing, we need to design everything first. So more of the basic things will be that .app thing is we have to set the min height to 100 VH, the 100 viewing height. Also, as you can see in this image, that the sidebar and the main bar is in horizontal direction, so we need to display flex here. So that are the basic things that we are doing. And once this app, the whole app has display flex, so we can fix this width. So for that, what we can do is, for the sidebar, we can set the flex to 3, and for the main bar dot main, we can set the flex to something like 9. So let's check, but we'll not observe the difference because both have the same background. So for that, we can just add a border here, the border right. Here, the border right of, we can add just a small border like 1 pixel, a solid border which can be of color RGB 100, 100 and 100. So let's see. It didn't work. Why? I don't know. Is the name correct? Okay. The sidebar. So let's save this and see. Yes, we have this beautiful border over here. Then coming to here, we have this logo which don't look great over here, and the text is also very small. So what was it? It was this image which was called a logo. I can just give the alternate name to logo, and the brand was this pan. So let's save this and let's grab this logo and what we need to do is we can just add a margin right of something like 1 rem, that is 10 pixels. So if we see, yes, this has been separated a little. And then the brand thing that we had, we just need to increase the font size to something like 2 rems. So let's save and see. Yes, this looks good in terms of size, but not great in terms of position. But as you can see in this image, the whole upper side top has a equal padding all around. So what we can do is we can get here and grab the upper side top and add some padding. So padding of, I guess, 2 rem will be good. Let's see. Yes, this looks good but not great, and these things are also not aligned. So okay, I can just remove this upper side top so that it can cover the whole upper side, and just find this and increase a little bit of padding, like 2.5 rem will be good, I guess. And yes, it looks good now. Then as per our design, we need to design this part first, the lower side first. So as we can observe, we have a logo over here. We have 3 list items here, and we have a logo followed by a name. So home, saved, and upgrade to pro. So we can go to our app.js and just create the div called list items, which contains an image, which we can name like list items img, list items image, followed by a text like home. Here, home. And we can just copy this whole thing and paste. So the second one was for saved, and the third one was upgrade to pro. But what about the sources? We are not using the sources for now, but we need it. So the second one was for the mid button, and this contains the add button. So we can just import it just like we did. Import the add btn from the dot slash assets slash where is the add 30.png, and we can use it here, add button, which says new chat. And then we have here the query. So for the queries, we have import, we can name it message icon from the same destination. Where is the message icon? message.svg, and we can use it here like this, a message icon. Similarly here, message icon, and we can name it query. We can name it query. Also changing the text, how to use an API. Then we have these list buttons or the list icons, where we have, for the first one we have home. So we can just import the home, that is home, from the same destination and home.svg. And for the saved, we have this bookmark icon, and then we have for the third one, that is upgrade to pro, we have something similar to rocket, so we can just name it rocket from the same destination, rocket.svg, which we can type here. The first one was for home, the second one was for the saved thing, and the third one was the rocket. Yes. Oops. Something went wrong. The rocket thing. Also, we can add this alternate names and see if everything is here or not. Yes, everything is here, but just they need a little bit of basic styling. So for that, get back to our app.css, and for the upper side we can add a border bottom of 1 pixel, the exact same thing that we used here, just this part. So now this looks good, but the height of this is not like great as this, so we can just set it like this. Height to 70% will be good, I guess, and save it. Yes, this looks good now. So first of all, I want to just align this thing, which was the upper side top. So dot upper side top, what we need to do is just display flex and align items center. AIC, which will look like this. As you can see, this is well aligned now, but I guess a little bit of margin is required, so we can just write margin of 2.5 rems will be good. And if we see, oops, it was needed just for the bottom part, so margin bottom of 2.5 rems will be great. And then for the sidebar, we have to design these buttons. So what are the changes that we are going to make is design this mid button and resize this image, that is the add button image. And for these queries, we need to design these queries and also resizing these query images. So we need to get back to our app.css, and here first thing we are going to do is design the mid button. Let me check if it has the same name. Is it? Yes, it's the mid button. So first we'll grab the mid button and set its background to a color that is this one. You can copy this 5A 4BFF. Also set the border to none and the color to white. So if we see, this looks like this. So now what we need to do is just add some padding. Around 1.5 rem will be great, I guess. And also we can increase the font size. So the font size should be 1.5 rem. So let's see. But the things that are needed is this, the add button. The add button, we need to resize it first. So what we can resize it with is we can set the height to around 2 rem will be good, I guess. And also if you see, I can add some padding here. So padding right to 1 rem. So if we save it and see, yes, this looks good, but now we need some width of this whole button, margin at the bottom side, and a little bit of alignment. So let's do this. Where is it? Here. Adding width of somewhere near 25 rem. Then for the alignment we can display flex and align items to center. Also justify content to center, and let's see. Yes, it's well aligned. Then we can just add some margin bottom of 3 rems, and just before this we can set the margin to 0 and auto for left and right. And what more we can do is we can set the border radius. So border radius of 0.5 rem will look fine, I guess. So let's see. Yes, this looks great. What margin 0 auto did was 0 for top and bottom and auto for this side and this side. So it got aligned by itself. Then coming here to the queries. For that, what we need to do is just grab the queries. So what was the name? It was just query, and align them with the same technique. Or we don't need this justify content center actually, and just set the background to transparent and add some padding of 1.5 rem again. That will be good. Then the same width like the button will be fine, 25 rem. And for the whole thing I can add margin of 1 rem with auto for left and right, and some border radius of 0.5 rem and a little bit of border of 1 pixel solid of color RGB. I guess 100 will be a little more, so we can just add RGBA of 98, 98, 98 and 1. So let's see how it looks. We need to set the color first, and also some of the spacing is needed here. So first we need to set the color. So after the background we need to set the color. So the color can be RGBA. You can copy this. I have already tried these things. 222, 222, 222, 1. And now if we save, we can see we have this color. A little bit of grace color, not simple white. Then we need a little bit of padding here. So we need to grab the query's image. So for that we need to write dot query and access the image inside, and just add some margin right of 1 rem or 2 rem will be good. And what more we can do for this, as it is an image, so we can just add the object fit to cover, and I think it is a little bit small in size, so I can just add some height of 1.75 rem. I guess this will look good. Yes, it looks good. So with this, the upper part is completed, and let's move to the lower part. So what this lower side actually needs is a little bit of padding first, and for these list items we need to increase its font size, add some spacing, and grab these images and just give them some margin right like we did in this early part. So the first thing, the lower side we need to grab and add some padding that is of 2 rems. Then we need to grab the list items. So list items, we need to grab all the list items and add some margin to it, so that you can see that all of them are stick together, so we can add some margin. So margin of, I guess, 1 rem will be fine, but before that we need to align them So we will be doing the same thing, display flex, justify content, center, or actually we need align items to center. Also set some font size. So font size to something near 1.5 rem. So let's save. The font are a little bit big, so we can fix it like changing the font size to 1.5 from 1.3. Also we can decrease a little bit of margin like 0.75 rem. So let's save it and see. Yes, the whole list items are aligned, but for every list item, like for each element, what we can do is we can just grab the list, a sort trick like list items, and we can grab the image. So list items image, and we can add some margin to it like 1 rem. And after that we can add some padding right of 2 rems or just 1 rem. Let's see. Oops, they didn't work, I guess. There was something mistake. List items image. Here. The items in this has a small I. So let's save this and see if it works. Yes, it worked. But as these images has different dimensions, so you can see that this thing is not well aligned, as this first home thing is not here and this upgrade is a little bit more far from these two. So what we can do is we can grab each one. So we can just do list items and we can grab the nth child, that is the first child, and for that we can grab that dot list items image, this thing. And for this thing what we can do is we can just reduce the margin right from 1 rem that was written here to a little bit smaller than before, so 0.5 rem will be great. And let's see. Yes, now this looks aligned, but not this thing, the third thing. So we can grab the third item too. So just copy this and paste it here, and we can grab the third child and we can just use 0.8. So let's see if it works. Yes, this looks good, but I guess 0.75 will be fine. And let's save this and see. Yes, this looks amazing. So the whole sidebar thing is completed. And now we need to start with this part, the main body, that is the chat app. For that, what we can do is we can create the basic UI first with some static like inputs and static texts. Then when we will be using that API, we will do it dynamic, so that whatever you type will be dynamically like arranged here and answered. So let's move to the main body. So for the main body, what we'll be having is only this much of space, which will have a chat box right here and attached with a chat footer over here, which will contain a basic input and this paragraph. So if we talk about the structure, what it will be having is a basic chat box, that is the chats, and after this we'll be having a chat footer like this, where in the chat footer what we'll be having is a basic input that we can call .inp, which can contain a basic input, and after this we can get a button, so btn with a class name of send, which can contain an image which we can import from here. So import send btn from the same location here, send.svg. send.svg, which we'll be using right here in the source of this image, send button, and the alternate will be send. Also, we can remove these things and just add a placeholder right here, which can say send a message ... or with no dots. Also, we can talk about these chats. So as per our design, the chat, this thing is basically a division which contains a single image and this text. So if we design this, what it is basically is .chat, which contains an image followed by a basic paragraph, which we can call it txt. Okay, we can call it txt, which we can fill with random things like Lauren 20. So yes, this is it. But for this image source file, we need to import it again. So import the user icon from the same location again and again, which is this. And also we need to import one more file, that is the GPT image logo from the same location, this thing, which will be swapped by simple logic. So for now, as we are designing a static website for now, what we can do is we can just write here the GPT or the user icon, and for now we can just copy this, paste it, and replace it with the GPT icon. So GPT image logo and the same thing. So let's save this and see. Yes, this is it. But as you can see, this is not aligned well, and this image and its text is not like this in the horizontal direction. Also, the size of the images are too big, and this whole input thing looks bad. So everything needs to be fixed. So for that, we need to get back to the app.css and start the main thing. So .main needs a min height for the first thing. So the min height will be, we can just use the calculate function and calculate 100 VH minus I gave this whatever size, so we can just use a random thing like 14 rem. So this will be the min height of the main division. Then for the alignment part, we can just display flex and align every item to center. Also, the very first thing we need to do is flex direction to column. Also add a little bit of margin, like not a little bit, actually a huge margin like 6 rem or 10 rems for the left and right. So let's see how it looks. Yes, this looks that it is taking its shape. So now, just fixing this chat footer for now, we can get the chat footer dot chat footer, and we can set the margin top to auto and give it some width of 100% and align it too. So display flex direction should be column, then align items to center and justify content to center. If we see, yes, this is here. Then we can grab this whole thing .inp that we named. So in the chat footer, like after the chat footer, what we can do is we can grab the .inp and add some padding like 1 rem will be good, or something less like 0.5 rem. with a background of RGBA of 28, 30, 58 and opacity of 1. So if we see, yes, this is the whole thing, but we need to just remove these backgrounds. So for that, what we can do is we can grab the .inp's input and the send button and remove the background. So background to transparent. Also the border to none, so that it may look like this, but still we have these things. So we need to grab this .inp's input and set some more of the things, like adding a width of, we can again calculate it, 100% minus whatever the send button will take, like 3 rem I can give to the send button. Then we can remove the outline. So outline to none, that blue outline that we were seeing, this thing, we can just remove this. Add a little bit of padding like 1 rem or more than 1 rem, like 1.25 rem, 1.25 rem, and set the color to white, which makes our input look like this. But we need a little bit of alignment. As you can see, the send button is not at its position. So what we can do is we can get here input and we can display flex, then align items to center. Yes, this looks amazing now, but just 2 things are missing. One is the border radius and second is the width. So the border radius of 0.5 rem again, with a width of, what we can do is we can give it 70 rem. Let's see how it looks. It is great, but there is the text missing. So what we can do is we can get here in the app.js, just after this input, just after this button, or not here, we can add that paragraph here, like ChatGPT may produce incorrect results or something like this. So let's see. There is a need of removing this margin, however, which we can do from this app.css. Where is it? Here. We can just remove the margin of the bottom part to 0. And yes, but a little bit of margin for this paragraph is needed, which we can grab from here. Chart footer, grab the P from it and add some margin, like something like 2 rem and 0 for left and right. So let's see. Yes, this looks amazing now. Then we are just left with this chat, which is now the easiest part though. So we can get here right above this chat footer, and here I can grab the chats, and to make it scrollable, what I can do is just remove the overflow, like doing this overflow hidden and allowing the overflow in Y direction to scroll. Also setting the scroll behavior to smooth and setting the width to 100%, so that we can set a limit. A max width of 70 rem will be fine. Also the height should be calculated like 100 viewing height minus 14 rem, or a little bit of padding is also needed. So I will write 70 rem. You can just check by yourself, whatever suits you. And this is the output. So we need to grab each chat now. So grab each chat and add a little bit of margin first, margin of 1 rem, then a little bit of padding too, like padding of 2 rems, and 3 rems for left and right. Also we can set the font size to 1.2 rem, okay. Then display flex and align items center, or no, align items to the flex start. So let's see. Yes, this looks good, but we need to resize the image first, and we have to increase this lorem ipsum text first. So just remove this and just write lorem 100. And yes, now this is a little big, but we need to do one more thing, is just write the text alignment to justify, so that this looks like this. Or if you notice, the spacing in this left part and right part are equal. But now we need to resize these images. So what are these images called? Actually I have not named it yet. So yes, I can name this. I can just add a class name of chat image. So for here and here, I can just add chat img and grab it from here. Dot chat img, grab it as it is an image, object fit to cover. Then width should be a little less, like 3 rem or 3.5 rem, I will set it. Then a little bit of margin right is needed, like 2 rems like we usually do. Also, to make it a little bit curved from the edges, we can write the border radius to 0.5 rem. So now this looks like this. But how will we differentiate that which message is the user's message and which message is the AI generated message? So what we can do is, if the chat is created by the UI, like the AI, so like this one is generated by the AI, so what I can do is, this thing will contain another class of bot. So this means that it will contain chat and it will also contain bot. So both things will be affected on this division. So right here we can grab the bot and set the background to RGBA, something near this 28, 30, 58 one. This will be good, I guess. And the width, what can be the width, will be fit content. So let's see. Yes, this looks good, but a little bit of border radius is also needed. So border radius of 0.5 rem. Let's see. This looks great, but I guess this input is a little bit big according to me. So I can find the .inp thing, where it is, yes, and just make it 68 or something like. Yes, this is perfectly fine now. So with all these, our UI part is 100% completed, and now it's time to jump into the API part. So let's begin. So now for the API thing, what we'll be doing is we can create a function that will take us to the OpenAI API and get the response. So for that, what we can do is we have to create an account. So go to your browser and search platform.openai.com. And in this app, what you need to do is you need to create an account. Then once you have created the account, you can click here and search for this view API keys. You need to generate an API key. So for that, you will find this here, create new secret key. You can name it anything like GPT clone. So GPT clone and create the secret key. So you will get this key and you need to copy this. But in order to use this API key, what you need to do is create a paid account. However, you don't need to pay, you can get the free trial. So for that, you can go to this billing. Then you have to click here, start the payment plan for individual or company, whatever you want, and then fill these details. However, you won't be deducted with any amount as the free trial cost only $0. But in order to use this feature, the OpenAI, you just need to set up a free trial account first. So you just need to copy this as I have already copied and get back to here, the coding part. Then you need to just create another folder right here, or we can create just a file. We can name it openai.js, and here we'll be creating that function that will help us to send the API requests. So for more documentation thing, what you can do here, that you can go to this website and find here the API reference, and you just need to install this OpenAI or OpenAI, sorry. So go to your VS Code, just find a terminal and install the OpenAI. So for that, we'll be using npm I OpenAI, and once this OpenAI is installed, we can just check here. Yes, the OpenAI is installed. So once you're done with this installing part, either you can follow me or you can go here for the documentation and find this guide part where we can click on this GPT and find that how is the current structure of the chat completion thing works, and also we can get that what is the structure of the response that we are getting from the API. Also you can research about the models, that what are the models that this OpenAI offers, and more about these things. What we'll be using is this text DaVinci 003. So for that, get back to our openai.js, and then we need to import few of the things like configuration and OpenAI API. These two things from to require OpenAI. So what we installed was OpenAI, and we need to extract these two things from this OpenAI. Then we have to do this is creating this configuration again with a small c. That is the different thing, not this configuration. So this configuration variable will be an instance of this configuration. So configuration, which will be taking the API key as a parameter to initialize. So we can initialize it with the key that we copied. Then we can just create a new constant, OpenAI, which will be containing the instance of the other thing that we imported, that was the OpenAI API, and this will be taking the configuration as the parameter. Then we can just create the function. So we can create we can export it, however. So export directly the async function that we'll be creating. The async function, we can name it send message or send message to OpenAI, which will be taking the parameter message And what this function will do is create a response. So const response or res equals, it will be using this OpenAI. So await OpenAI dot create completion, and this function takes the parameter as an object of all the data. So we can define the model here, which will be using like text Da Vinci 003 with a prompt of the message that we received and also a temperature of 0.7 we can use. Basically what this temperature is, that how creative your answer should be. So also the max tokens we can define is this max tokens should be 256 that we can define. Basically these are the max number of tokens, and the top P to 1, then the frequency penalty, I guess I can get it, frequency penalty of 0, then the presence penalty of 0. And after this part, what we'll be getting is the response, which will be stored here in the res variable. So we can just return this res, but as you have seen here, the structure of the response is different, so we want just the text. So for that we can extract the data that we are getting, and we need to extract the choices and choices of 0 as choices in an array, and we just want the first thing in the array. Then we can just extract the text. So this is what we need to extract. So basically what this function will do is get this your message, send the request to this OpenAI server and receive a response, and that response, the main text that you want to get is here, and it will be extracted and sent back to you using this function. So let's save this and now go to your app.js and import that function, import send message to OpenAI from this location. Now to trigger this function, what we can do is create here a new function that is const handle send, and this is an arrow function which can just get the response from this send message to OpenAI. So this will take a message, for which what we need to do is we need to create a variable that can be a useState hook, which is this input, and set input, and this is a useState hook which can contain a basic empty string for now, and this input comes from here. So the value of this is the input, and whenever the input will be changed, so on change, what we can do is get the event and just set the input to e.target.value, and then we can set an event listener to this button, which is on click it will trigger the handle send thing. So handle send, and where is the handle send? Here, handle send will just send the input to the API, but as you know, this is an asynchronous function, so we can use the await here because we need to wait for the response to come, and for that await we have to make this function an async function. So for now we'll just console log out the response. So let's see what we are getting. So we can get here and type, "Hi ChatGPT, how are you?" And first of all we need to get the console log where we can get our message, and now we can use the send button to send the message and wait for the response. Yes, we are getting the response. "I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How can I help you?" If you're getting any trouble, you can ask in comment box, or just you need to check for the latest practice in the documentation, or you can just install these versions if you don't have any issues. So for that, like I want to install this OpenAI version 3.3.0, so I can just click here to the PowerShell and write npm I, that is npm install OpenAI, and then we can use this @ symbol and write the version 3.3.0. Then by clicking enter, it will install this version. So these things you can keep in mind, and let's see, we are getting the response. So now what we need to do is just set the response messages, like creating the whole chat. For that we'll be using the useState hook again. If you don't know what useState is, it basically creates a variable which can act as an instance. So the value of input is initially this, and if we are changing, so with this function, the set input function, we can change the value of this variable like we did here on change set input to this value, so the value of input is updated. Similarly, we have to create the messages one, so constant messages and set messages equals useState. And this message, how can we determine that which message belongs to the user and which message belongs to the bot? As you can see, we have designed this bot thing that whatever message can be yours, like this message is yours and this message is bot. But how can we determine that? For that, what we can do is a simple thing, that we can create an object. Like every message can be an object, in which for every object, like every message is an object, and for every object it will carry a text which is your message, and then we can just make a variable like isBot, which says that is it a bot or not, like the message comes from a bot or not. So isBot, we can set true or false, which is a boolean value. So with the help of this variable or this boolean, we can determine that is this message is of that came from a bot or not. And the message, the very initial message that we can get is a simple thing like, "Hi, I am ChatGPT, a state of art," or whatever you want to write, just write it. And then whenever you will get a response, what you can do is just set messages. So setting this messages as, okay, I did a mistake. Actually, these messages were a list of messages like this, an array of messages like this. And in this array of messages, I have these messages. So these messages that I have, so I have a list of objects which contains two things, the text and the identity. And whenever you will be getting this, what you need to do is set those messages again with the old messages. This is a spread operator which says that spread all the elements that contains in this array or whatever variable you have. So what I'm gonna do is I can get all those messages, and then I need to append the new response. So I can create a new object which says the text, which is equal to the input, and then the identity, that is the isBot. So isBot equals, yes, this is the response. No, actually the very first thing that we need to append in this messages after those messages is the input that we got, like whatever I typed. So isBot equals false, that I am not a bot. Then the next thing that I want to do is again add a text which has the response, that whatever my input was, it is answer for that, and the identity is bot true. Yes, because it comes from a bot, it comes from the ChatGPT server, and hence the messages will be upgraded or set to a new value. So this is how it will work. But now this messages, this chats that I had can no more be simply chats, but what I can do is I can access these messages like here and map for them, which takes an arrow function and says for every messages, and also we will be counting the index. For every message, what I need to do is just copy this div and paste it here, and this div that I copied contains this text. So this text needs to be replaced. So this whole thing is replaced by this message dot text, and also the class name for this chat bot can have a logic too. So for this I have a message, and for every message dot is bot, we will be using a ternary operator. So if it is a bot, then you can add this, and if this is not a bot, you can just add this chat, because this is necessary though. Also for the source file, I can just add a logic here like message dot is bot. So if this message comes from a bot, you can use this source file, or else you can just use the user icon. So now we can remove these and let's check, but we are getting a warning. Okay, for every map element we need to add a key. So the key is this I, the index that we took here, because the key needs to be unique for every element of the map. Still there is a warning. Let me see. This says that array.prototype.map accepts a return value. Okay. This accepts a return value, and this is not a return thing. So two things that you can do is, one is just type return here, that you can return this div, but we are using an arrow function, so we can just remove these. So as you know that if we are using an arrow function, so this can return in three ways, like whatever you type it will return this, or if you use these braces it will also return whatever is inside this, and also if you can just do the old school stuff that you can write return keyword and write whatever you want to return. So these are the three ways. So that's why I just return this whole div by removing these. And now if we run, yes, it is compiled successfully. And now let's check. Yes, we have this thing. And if we type something and send this, then here it comes. But one thing that is an issue is whenever I'm typing something like this. How are you? Until the response is generated, I can see no activity here. So for a shorthand thing, what we can do is, where we were creating this, the first thing we can do is we can just create a copy of text like this. Text, we can name it text equals input, and then the problem that before sending this don't gets cleared, so now we can clear. So set input to an empty thing, then as the input is cleared, we can just replace it with text like this or this. Writing text colon text or directly text is the same thing. And before this, before sending the response or before getting stuck here in this await function, what we can do is we can just set the messages to an array of the same object, like array of those messages along with this input. So text and is bought to true, actually is bought to false. So now let's test this, and I'm writing hi, how are you? So yes, the response is getting generated, and yes, this looks good. If I'm writing something and sending it, just the problem is that we need to add a auto scroll, for which what we can do is, where we have these messages, I can add one more thing, creating a div of nothing, like it can be an empty div which can just have a reference to something like msg end, which just signifies that is the end of those messages. Like after every message, this is the last thing that we have. And for that, now we can use the useRef. So const, the reference was message end, so msg end equals useRef. This is use the reference of this. So useRef, which is null for now. And now if we want to check that when these messages will be changed, like if we are appending something, so the value of these messages will change. So for that, what we can do is, here we can use a use effect. So use effect, basically this notices what you are focusing on changes. So this basically takes a function, and after this it takes an array, that is the array of dependencies. So the first thing in this useRef is this, which is a function that targets the message end and accesses at current point and scrolls to it. So scroll into view this function, but this target or this reference will be only triggered when these messages will be changed. So if these messages are changed, so for every effect where these messages will be changed, these dependency will be changed, this whole function will work. So let's try this again. Hi, how are you, ChatGPT? Send, and let's see. I am great. Yes, this seems it has scrolled. What makes you feel great? Absolutely nothing. with a E here, and let's send this. Yes, the auto scroll is working great, but this is not a great experience that you have to type everything and navigate here to enter send. So I can set a handle enter key, like if we press enter, the message will be sent. So it's on you that you want to do it or not. So you can just make a handle enter, which will handle the enter key, which is basically an arrow function that returns nothing actually, just it checks that if the target that we are getting, I will be sending a target, that event, and if the target key, that is e dot key, equals the enter key, so the enter key. So just what we can do is handle send, and in the handle send function we can just call it. So as this is an asynchronous function, as it returns a promise, so we need to write await here, and as we have used await, you have to make this function an async function. So this is done, but we have to use this handle enter. So for that we can get to this input, and after this on change, what we can do, we can add a key down listener. On key down, just call this handle enter. So whenever you will press a key on key down, when you will press the key, this function will be called the handle enter, and this handle enter function will just call this handle send, but after checking that if the pressed key is enter, like not for every key, only for this enter key, it will just call this function. So let's see if it works. Wow, enter. Yes, it works great. And now we are left with nothing but just these three things. So what about the new chat? What I can do is, when you click this button, where are the queries? Yes, this mid button. When you click this button on click, I can just call a function which can just refresh the page. So window.location.reload. So saving this, and let's see if I click this, everything is reloaded. So let me type hi and wait for the response. So after I'm getting whatever response I'm getting, then just click here and it refreshes the page. And now I'm left with only these things, the queries. So if you can recall, what we did was, what is programming for this button, what we can do is we can create a value which is the same thing as the question. So what is programming, and we can just paste it here, and the same thing for this, the value equals how to use an API, and for everything, like if we click on this button, so here and here on click, or we can just create a handle query thing, or okay, this thing I've missed. So handle query, and we can just create this right here, constant handle query, which is an asynchronous function receiving an event, and can do the same thing like this handle send. I will just copy this and paste it here, and it will not take the input, it will take the e dot target dot value, and we don't need to set the input, and the text is yes this, and it seems everything is fine. So let's save this. But again we have a warning which says expected triple equals, where here in line number 46. So now let's save this, and yes, it has compiled successfully. So let's check how to use an API. Yes, how to use an API, and the response is getting generated. Here in the app.css, like txt, and just set a line height of 2 rem or 2.5 rem. It will look good, I guess. And set the color. The white looks so punchy in this background and whatever theme I have made. So we can just make it to the RGB 222 which we use instead of white. So let's save this. Yes, and now this looks great, really great. But I think it has a little bit more of the line spacing, so just slightly less than 2.5 rem. Yes, this looks great. Actually, you can just change this according to you. And with this, we are done with the whole website, the whole ChatGPT clone. I wish you have learned something new, and I hope you liked it. So give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you have not done yet. So with this, I am Anurag signing off, and you guys have a great future ahead and stay with us for more contents like this. Thank you.